naka def
yow foo joxee
mbaa def la suma tool balaa wari woon
man de man faa tehi man
yaa ngi toog di daa dégg son
man faa tehi di man suma tool bi fa booy baaxatul
xanaa doo dee use engrais fertilizer
ndax man loolu yow bu wuti ko foofu faa tehi dem ca dépôt ba dafa wuti fa sori
gis nga mbayum léegi boo amul fertilizer du baax de engrais kenn jëndeetu ko ci def
boo ko jëlee ci dépôt foo koy amee
kay yaa ngi doog a ñëw xam nga Reliance banque bi ñuy wax Reliance
faa koy dégg waaw
kay gis nga boo demee Reliance ci boppam foofu ngay fayee saako yi nga bëgg nu mu toll nga fay ba pare ñu jox la sa receipt gis nga receipt boobu ñu lay jox moom ngay yóbbu nag ca dépôt ba
kon fu ne ko dem ci dépôt ba te yóbbu la kay doo ko am
déedéet
fu ne su ma jógoon su ma xaalis ba dem ci dépôt ba dama am
déedéet doo am foog nga dem Reliance fay ba pare
waaw
soo ko dem nag ak sa receipt ca dépôt ba waa Gambia Granite Corporation lii la ñu wax
yow fi ne fa nga jëm ni la
waaw fa laay dem bi
xaaral kon kay ni jàmm jox la nga jëndaaleel ma ay yow ma de fi di saako doon yàgg te dama ko xam
maa la ko wax de
boo xàggee jëndaaleel ma
mbokk yi nii lañ ko bëggee waa Gambia Granite Corporation ñu ne saako engrais $700 dong lay jar muy juróom-ñaar téeméeri dalasi rek yomb na lool daw leen Reliance bu leen gën a jege si PMS tam dañuy jaay comme ni ko Reliance di jaayee boo fa demee dinañ la jaay te engrais bii pour réew mi kese la bëgguñ mu génn réew mi.
It's a warm welcome here in our studio in Sarakunda. This is Star TV News with me, Maimuna Fadera. In the headlines tonight, the Health Ministry confirms 2 new COVID-19 cases, both females. Refala aims at empowering women. Gambians voice out their sentiments on the apology of Imam Babali. OIC Summit preparations. Turkish Embassy donates 2 40-feet containers of security gears. On the international scene, black people face discrimination in France. COVID-19 infections surge in 6 U.S. states. The Netherlands struggling to meet housing demand. Well, those were the headlines, and now the news in details. People have tested positive for coronavirus, bringing the total number of cases of the disease to 36 confirmed cases yesterday by the Health Ministry. Well, Dado Cham tells us more.
The 2 women, aged 24 and 26 respectively, were quarantined on the 15th of June after returning to the country from Senegal. They were intercepted at the Amdalai border post. This was brought to the number of cases to 36, with 11 active cases, 24 recoveries and 1 death. Out of the 53 laboratory test results received, 46 are results of new tests and 7 are repeated test results. While 50 tested negative, 2 came out positive and 1 was inclusive. 7 new people were discharged after testing negative for COVID-19 upon completing of the mandatory quarantine period. According to report, 18 people are newly taken into quarantine. The newly quarantined individuals include 10 people who flew into the country from the USA, 9 Gambians, and a British national. The remaining 8 were picked from different locations after it was learned that they have recent travel histories from a country with ongoing local transmission. The new probable case is an 18-year-old Gambian male who recently returned to the country from Senegal and was taken into quarantine on the 15th of June. He was asymptomatic when a sample was collected from him on the 16th of June. The country currently have 254 people in quarantine, 11 active cases and 2 probable cases. Among the recommendations made including government to come up with a more suitable alternative for quarantine, target masses testing plan for high-risk areas, expand this disbursement of funds to the logistic and safety cluster, more security present at all points of entry across the country to ensure that people are not smuggling into the country. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Dado Cham.
Refala is a network of locally elected women in Africa to serve as ambassadors for women empowerment in multifaceted dimensions. Rahim Malik Low, the first woman to be mayor of capital city of Banjul, the Gambia became privileged to join the organization and serve as the president of Refala Gambia National Chapter. Jacqueline Colley interviewed the coordinator of the Gambia National Chapter of Refala, and she now reports.
Madam Aisatunjai, the coordinator of Refala Gambia National Chapter, said the organization was launched in the Gambia on 5th October 2019 with Lord Mayor Rahim Malik Low as the president. She added that the aim of the organization is to empower women in different domains.
Rafela is to empower women politically, to level the economic field for women, to level the play field for women in the economy, to fight for zero tolerance against children in the streets, and to end all sorts of violence against women.
Ms. Njai explained that the aim is to relentlessly empower women in the Gambia from all walks of life, not only in the Greater Banjul area, but in all regions of the country. Further noting that women play a very vital role in development, therefore the need to empower them.
From our own perspective, the best way to empower women is to looking at the 4 thematic areas of Rafela that I have just said. That is the political empowerment of women. If you want to empower women, you have to help them to be in politics, as politics is also a very important tool in decision making. Apart from politics, to help them to earn properties, have their own businesses, work and market their own products and stuff like that. We will also help our children roaming in the streets to, give them the right to live, give them the right to have better education, come up with programs that will discourage children on the streets. And the last and the very important aspect is the ending of all sorts of violence against women. So basically, if you look at these 4 factors, you will know that both are geared towards empowering women, to help women who have been backbenched for a long time, to be the voice for voiceless women, to give them an arm to lean on, and to make sure that they are also part of this society and they are as important as men, and it is time for them to raise their hands up and participate in decision making.
Aissatou said that the pandemic has affected some plans of the chapter in the Gambia. She explained that an annual general meeting was supposed to be held this year, but due to the pandemic and the state of public emergency ordered by the state, most of their plans couldn't be executed accordingly.
This year was supposed to be the annual general meeting of Rafela, where we will elect positions. Immediately after elected positions, we will come to the registration, and that is where we are going to agree on the cost of registration. But what we have done so far is, when we realized that the COVID-19 has penetrated the Gambia, and as a result stopped all activities, we said, despite the fact that we cannot have the annual general meeting, we can also focus on things that will help the women to be free from acquiring the COVID-19. We therefore did an exercise called the fumigation of public places, like the markets where women gather and sell their products, like the ferry where people travel every day to the mosques, to the churches and everything. But basically, we were just waiting for the annual general meeting. Then the people will be elected, and from there, that's it, we will start. But we are in fact finding missions, we are doing general sensitization, we are opening doors for women to come in, and immediately after that, we will focus on the priority areas and we will start the activities.
She urged all women, as well as men all over the country who want to support and empower women, to come forward and support the Rafela organization in any way. Jacqueline Colley, reporting for Star TV News.
Earlier today, a reporter went out on the streets to seek the opinions of people on the apology made by Imam Babali regarding the recently controversial topic in the Gambia. Binta Colley has the rest of the story.
Imam Lee came under much criticism after the National Human Rights Commission submitted its 2019 report to the President of the Gambia. According to the report, the people involved in homosexuality or lesbianism should be given equal right with those who are not. Many were with the opinion that Imam Babali should resign from his position as a commissioner in the National Human Rights Commission. Speaking to us was an elderly man who said that Imam Babali's apology came late. He said that Gambians did not expect an important man like Mr. Lee to be part of a commission that will advocate for the right of homosexuality and lesbianism in a religious country such as ours. He stressed that they are neither accepted in Islam nor Christianity. He added that Gambians should not let Western people impose things on them that are not in their norms, values, cultures and traditions. Another man said that these acts are a no-go area for Gambia, adding that Allah abhorred the act and have even sent astray scriptures that were doing such sinful acts before the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A vendor selling vegetables at the Serekunda market said that she is totally against the commission and anyone else who is in support of the sinful act. She added that anybody who is involved in these acts will be caused by Allah, and that nobody can save you when such calamity befalls you. We met a man with different opinion who said that Imam Lee is just human, and if he made a mistake and then later apologizes, he should be forgiven. He was quick to add that government of the Gambia should not legalize such acts in the country. Let the West go with their money and let us have our faith in Allah. Let nobody try to take that away from us, he lamented. For Star TV News, I am Binta Koli.
In a news release sent to Star TV, it states, as part of our ongoing resources mobilization and key project implementation in the preparation for the hosting of the OIC Heads of State Summit in the Gambia in 2022, the Gambia OIC Secretariat, aka OIC Gambia, has acquired significant logistical and technical support for the Gambia Police Force through the Embassy of the Brotherly and Friendly Republic of Turkey in the Gambia. Consequently, the Turkish Embassy will formally hand over 2 sets of 40-foot containers loaded with modern policing and other security apparatus and gears to the High Command of the police. The security support will undoubtedly boost the capacity of the police and other security services in the effort to protect lives and properties across the country. The aforementioned is to take place on Monday, 22nd June 2020 at the headquarters of the Police Intervention Unit, Kanifing, by 9:30 a.m. The following dignitaries will deliver statements at the event: Inspector General of Police, CEO of OIC Gambia, Ambassador of Turkey, Minister of Interior, and the Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service. The release ends. Well, we'll now go for a short commercial break. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Jambando ñini bari ñinay fele do ku bala de inum bara ni su ko do buga ñamoti awum to jaldi kay ndungi be do ku bala janko mbe do ku walal de bar fenkil nañ jaxal jang nga fem fi jabu ka bete nga fem fi jabu ka bete nga fem fi yang ko jaxal dafa malo mbekel ñaati de ne jambando soto angare ñing ne o soto yake jang ila soto fe ngo fam be yiru wala ye jambando ha woto alhamdulillah sa jambando mo so la ñaadi le sani moli abulale kata fan kata depo nyinto hani ni futata je depo to sani buka wafi de ka kodo ta mo bulu ka boto dila wo bo sani wo botale sani mimbe kering wolem nyinti ko reliance ibita wolto ye kodo jo ne kodo jo reliance e ka risitol dila ba risito nyinga ku matal de wo risito nyin ni adila e ka wole samba depo nyinto ne risito di yela jambando soto comme ngi yek mo fu nyami ngamoyle nim fana bodo jang ko denke mbira jambando sanna GGC wole Gambia Groundnut Corporation wolle be mararen ñing jambando la kola andu ila ñin jang ngalo ne ñin jambando ni yake jang ifam ba fala ñela tumondo bar be jambando ko yele fana ngaji be nim bodo ya mbita wolto mbita sekoro direct nim tara ye rek be jambando sanna oto mbaɗigol ñewode ñul natal kana mol dahandi GGC ka jambando data la mole fadala se ceme worwula he ñomo alten tubaldi mbatu woto nimboru bayta ngata na jambando la ko do jo woto jang san sa mbe wutule ngata fo reliance nganna jambando la ko do jo jeto ngana risito ta ngata depo walla ngaji be CPMS katu ñun dula fulo de min suriyata na rek nin tara nga joje benna jambando sotlal al nimbara bak ala baraka. Hey, alhamdulillah. Nyomu ala tan Dubai. Moro nyina metu abena no sana.
Welcome back after that short commercial break, and we now look at the news beyond our borders. Black people in France face more discrimination than any other minority, according to a report by the country's National Consultative Commission on Human Rights. The report also says police must be trained better to handle racist disputes. Al Jazeera's Natasha Butler reports.
Mohan Bakir wants answers from the police. He wants to know why his 14-year-old son and 2 of his friends were arrested, accused of stealing, kept in custody overnight in Paris and released without charge. Seen here in a video after their release, the boys said that during their ordeal they were subject to racial and homophobic abuse. One says he was slapped across the face.
Police were searching for a suspect who was 1 meter 60 tall. So why arrest my son who was so much taller? They only stopped him because of his face, because the only thing he has in common with the suspect is the colour of his skin.
French police have a history of abusive arrests. Young people of African heritage are 20 times more likely to be stopped by police than others for an identity check, according to France's human rights watchdog. Campaigners say that officers often act with impunity. The protests over George Floyd's death in the United States have reignited debate over police racism in France and inspired similar demonstrations calling for justice for Adama Traoré, a young man who died in police custody in 2016. This mural in central Paris pays tribute to both men. Tens of thousands of people have taken part in rallies for Traoré in the country.
There was the death of George Floyd, a death that directly echoed the death of my little brother in France. And it must be said, what's happening in the United States, the exact same thing happens in France. Today, our brothers are dying.
This activist says that until France faces its colonial legacy, racism will continue to thrive.
We need a radical change, a break with the past and our system which was built on racist foundations, linked to colonisation and slavery.
Some police officers protested in Paris last week to say that accusations of racism undermine their authority and ability to keep the peace. But others say it's time the force was reformed.
For 20 years, the police have been increasingly militarized. There's a growing divide between the police and the community, so what we need is to get everyone around the table to talk, to find out what citizens want and need in their police force to feel safe.
As in the US, generations of people in France have felt shut out of a system that's supposed to protect them. With more anti-racism protests planned, the hope is that change might come. Natasha Butler, Al Jazeera, Paris.
Coronavirus cases continue to rise in the United States as businesses reopen and people flout medical advice on wearing masks and social distancing. The country has reported more than 117,000 COVID-19 deaths, the highest fatality rate in the world by far. Al Jazeera's Rob Reynolds reports from Los Angeles.
Social distancing and mask wearing are being ignored by many Americans with predictable results. More than 20,000 are testing positive per day, with large spikes in several states, including Arizona, Texas, Florida, and Oklahoma, where President Donald Trump plans to hold a mass campaign rally on Saturday. Florida now has more than 82,000 cases, a 17% jump in just the last week. They include a group of 16 friends in Jacksonville who took advantage of the state's decision to reopen bars to have a night out. All have since tested positive, and the bar is closed again.
I was one of those people like, come on, it's not that serious, and I got it.
More than 3,000 people in Florida have died from the virus. Hospitals are filling up.
We know already that social distancing and wearing of masks helps to prevent this disease, and we're not seeing that right now.
Weeks of protests over police brutality and systemic racism may have led to more infections. In Massachusetts, the governor ordered new pop-up test sites for demonstrators. In Arizona, cases are surging with record-high numbers reported. The state's Republican governor threw open businesses, bars, and other public places in mid-May. In Nevada, the Democratic governor has opted for safety, halting the state's next phase of reopening.
Now is not the time to abandon these protective measures. It is a time to double down on them. We can only stay open if we stay safe.
Pleas for caution, often going unheeded. Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera.
In the Netherlands, the number of homeless people has doubled in recent years and 300,000 new houses are urgently needed. But because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the yearly target will not be met. To create both houses and jobs, local officials and developers have made an urgent plea to the government to invest billions of dollars. Al Jazeera's Step Versen reports from The Hague.
Nout Manders suddenly found himself among a growing group of homeless people in the Netherlands. The 30-year-old waiter could no longer pay his rent after he lost his income due to the COVID-19 pandemic and landed on the street. Now he's staying in a shelter.
It's really hard because especially for my age, it's like you're not earning enough for the free sector, but I'm earning too much to get social housing. And in Amsterdam there's a waiting list, like for 16 years at least before you get a chance on a house.
The Netherlands needs 1 million houses in the next 10 years. While construction companies have been able to continue to build despite COVID-19 restrictions, they say the target of more than 80,000 houses a year has become difficult.
En de oorzaak daarvan moet vooral gevonden worden in...
The main reason is the lack of land. In the Netherlands, approvals take a long time, sometimes up to 10 years before a project can be executed. With the corona crisis, this has only become worse.
The Dutch do what they do best, making new land, like here where an island is being created. But developers say the only way to meet a huge demand is to build outside the cities and convert green areas. They promise sustainable and climate-friendly housing.
We need a lot of houses. 1 million is a lot for the Netherlands. We have 7.5 million right now, so we need actually an extra big city. And you can't place that inside of the boundaries of the current cities.
The government has yet to respond to the plea to invest billions of dollars in the next few years. Politicians didn't immediately reject the plan to sacrifice green areas. The Netherlands used to have adequate social housing and the number of homeless were low. But miscalculations by the government and the far-reaching privatization of the housing sector have led to a serious housing crisis. While developers urge the government to invest, the question remains when houses will become affordable again. Social housing has been rapidly disappearing from big cities. That's because corporations sold tens of thousands of houses for high prices in recent years, turning cities like Amsterdam into places mainly for the rich. Not a city Nout can longer afford.
You never know how things are going to happen, and you can lose your job every day, but you can also lose your house every day, and that was something I was never aware of.
Developers say that 1/3 of the new projects they hope to build with government support will be for social housing. But Nout says he can't afford to wait. He can't stay in shelters much longer and needs a roof above his head now. Step Vassen, Al Jazeera, The Hague.
And before we end the news, a quick recap of our main headlines. 2 people have tested positive for coronavirus, bringing the total number of cases of the disease to 36 confirmed yesterday by the Health Ministry. Refala is a network of locally elected women in Africa to serve as ambassadors for women empowerment in multifaceted dimensions. Rahim Malik Low, the first woman to be mayor of the capital city of Banjul, the Gambia became privileged to join the organization and serve as the president of Refala Gambia National Chapter. Earlier today, a reporter went out on the streets to seek the opinions of people on the apology made by Imam Babali regarding the recently controversial topic in the Gambia. OIC summit preparations. Turkey's embassy donates 2 40-feet containers of security gears. Black people in France face more discrimination than any other minority, according to a report by the country's National Consultative Commission on Human Rights. Coronavirus cases continue to rise in the United States as businesses reopen and people flout medical advice on wearing masks and social distancing. In the Netherlands, the number of homeless people has doubled in recent years and 300,000 new houses are urgently needed, but because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the yearly target will not be met. Well, that's all for this edition of the news. Do join us tomorrow for more news. Please stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs. Thanks for watching and do have a wonderful weekend.